Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner Week 6. What a huge week we had. What a huge week we're going to have. We're here talking about it, give you all the action, all the previews, all the updates, recruiting news, coach news, everything. And today we have a special guest. So we all know Pars beat up Blake and he beat up Gerald. We had a new contender come in this week, Coach Mason from App State, and he beat the tar out of Pars. And so he's joined us tonight. Coach Mason, how you doing tonight, bud?
Doing great. How you doing, Coach Trigger? I'm glad to be here, man.
Glad to have you, man. Excited to be here. It was a big week. I'm ready to talk about it. We got a lot of stuff going on. Ton of stuff happening. Crazy news. As I was telling everybody on the Facebook page, if you haven't joined the RFCL or looked into it, this is the week to do it. A lot of big games, a lot of excitement, a lot of things will be decided here. So it's a big week. But as you normally, the coaches poll is out. So let's go over the coaching poll first and see how the coaches voted this week. And if you talk about, I think they've done a pretty good job, and I think they did a good job this week. Mason, you want to go over your thoughts of it first?
Yeah, of course. Honestly, man, I think this is the best poll we've had in the league in a very long time. I think everybody's sitting right where it's expected. And I think we're starting to see things fall in line of where we think teams are ranked. Now, obviously, 6 through 8 can change very easily going into this week, but man, you really can't make a different poll in my opinion. I think everything lined out. I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I forgot to go over for everybody, so I'll go over the report real quick. Oh, Jill, do you want in? I didn't see you wanted in, man. We can get you in just 1 second. Send me your video link. We can always get third ain't gonna hurt nobody.
No,
so I forgot to go over everybody, so I'll kind of go over the polls for everybody real quick. So number 1 is UCO, as expected. They've been number 1 all year. No reason to change that now. App State number 2, who is now jumping into that possible talk about number 1, as UConn was early in the year. UConn has dropped down to number 3. Georgetown at 4, UCA at 5, UIU at 6, Coastal at 7, Montana at 5, Coastal at 7, Montana at 8, which are their losses. NDSU at 9, Miami at number 10. And I agree with you. So I think as far as how everything goes, I think this is accurate. I think this is correct. I don't think anybody's wrong. I don't think it's too high. I think it's too low. I think you could make a small case that I would immediately shut down as far as make sure you have it here. Cameras be different sizes. We're gonna have a little bit of delay here, guys. Getting drilled in here.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, like you were saying, absolutely. I mean, honestly, you could switch 3 and 4 at this point. It's very possible, and you could also switch 5 and 6. But I think where they lay right now really shows some impact games coming up to the week, and then you got 3 versus 4 leading into the the divisional / conference championship. So either way, both of those rankings, they don't necessarily matter so much because they're going to flip and you got five through really 8 or 9. You could really mess around with a lot. Juggle. You can look at the voting points. I mean, look at 45, 43, and that's how close it is.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so I think you could possibly have an argument for swapping those two, except that UCA, if I'm right, beat UIU. So I think that's correct. I know the records look like UIU, but UCA beat them. So
right. I think they did, and I think it was a really good performance. I believe it was a blowout. I mean, that was the Nismo game.
So I think that's the correct. To me, that's the correct ranking. That's where it should be.
Right.
Real quick, Mason, go over to. Can you get in broadcast?
You're gonna tell Caleb to drag me on T1.
All right.
RFCL team.
Yep, gotcha. He said, "Oh, here we are." Now we're all three. So, welcome everybody. Coach Jill is joining us.
Yes.
Third participant tonight in Coach's Corner. Should be awesome. So, Jill, you can probably listen in. What are your thoughts on the polls, and if you think is everywhere they should be, and would you change anything?
Nah, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, how it's lined up, head to head kind of matters. I heard you say before I joined in, UCA ahead of UIU with the worst record, but they did beat them in the head to head. But I don't have a problem with it.
Love it. So that kind of brings us to some matchups from last week. First game we're going to go over is Miami versus Coastal Carolina. And we get ready set up here, and we'll get that ready to go. This is a game that was and make sure Gerald's on here. Make sure it all looks nice and clean. Got ready nice and clean here. Late join. That was my fault. I saw your message, and I guess I got the notification, and then...
No, I get it.
I wasn't looking at it, so it went away, and I didn't see it. And I was like, oh, all right, well, make sure you're the same size as Mason here. Don't want any bias going on here. Almost right, and go. Coastal Carolina, Miami. Guys, this was a huge game in terms of playoff elimination in the East Division. The loser was eliminated. The winner had a shot to still make the playoffs. However far of a chance that was, small, but they had a chance. Coastal Carolina takes care of business, winning 34-17 in a game that I don't remember really ever being that close. Highlights are on YouTube right now. Go check that game highlights out, guys. It was a good game. It was a fun game. Coastal Carolina showed out. Jill, we'll start with you. What did you think of this game while you're watching it, and what were your thoughts on it as a whole?
I will correct you. You mixed up the division-wise. Miami was already eliminated coming into this. Coastal still had a chance.
Correct.
But we'll get to that later.
Correct.
Anyway, no, I think Coastal. I think it really showed how far Miami, still needs to go. It was kind of like Mason's here. App State struggled a lot last year, and they were working their way up this year. Miami, with only 1 year, still showing that they teams with experience on them, are able to do more things than they can.
Mason?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw an experienced head coach at Coastal Carolina, take advantage of the inexperience at Miami that's going on there, and the players finally showed out for Coastal Carolina. We've been waiting for that, spread/air raid offense to finally kick in. And man, if Coastal gets a hold of, a consistent quarterback and, a little bit more help from the defensive side of the ball that they haven't had this year, honestly, man, I mean, if they get things to click on offense, they're going to be a world record this year. So Miami, Ohio, they still got a long ways to go. They're one of the teams where, unfortunately, I have not seen any improvement since week 1. Usually you see a little bit of improvement by the weeks go on. I think it has a lot to do with not just having enough experience there, and I've heard some rumors about the coaches not being there or not being on time. So maybe the AD needs to step down or step in and do what an AD does, and start cracking on some doors.
And no, I agree. So I think we all coming in the season, we all thought Miami would struggle being in their first year in Coach's Corner. We talked about multiple times, or Coach's League. And we weren't sure how the roster would stack up. One recruiting class behind is a big recruiting class in reality. Like, one recruiting class can really change a team and their look as a whole. So they were one recruiting class behind. So like they were going to struggle. They came out and they beat UCA, who we also all thought would struggle. And we're like, oh, maybe they beat them pretty good. Like maybe Miami's got it figured out early. Maybe they've got a good squad. And then from then, multiple things. Maybe coaches not showing up. They ran into some buzzsaws. So like, if you look at their schedule, UCA, and they played Georgetown, who I'm not going to toot my own horn, but going to be a playoff team. Number 4 in the team right now. Then they play App State, number 2 team in the country right now, undefeated. And then they played UConn, also in the playoffs, number 3 in the country. So they ran into a buzzsaw pretty quick. I'm sure that hurt their confidence. I'm sure that hurt their momentum. And then it just kept going. And then Upper Iowa, and then ran to Coastal. So had quite a schedule in front of them at the beginning. But I mean, I think we all kind of expected this first year team not to really have a lot of success. But now go to Coastal though, started the year off not strong. Everybody's like, oh, Coastal Carolina fell off. It's not going great for them. But they're starting to show some signs of life. They've got some wins here at the end. Some good points scored. Kind of reminds us of the Coastal of last year a little bit. So maybe they're making that turn. Maybe Hoffman's making that turn. I think we do all expect Coastal Carolina back in a year or two. I think we all just thought freshman quarterback was going to be an issue for them. They didn't have that problem last year. They had that problem this year. But I think we all think that Coastal Carolina back and they keep their playoff hopes alive, which is obviously big for them after this game.
Oh, absolutely. And to add on top of that, I mean, think about it real quick. They were 1 game away from making the playoffs. I mean, say App State, we drop that game to UConn, and it's a, elimination game between the both of us. So Coastal has battled back quite well from where they started. I think that game was really showing the directions of both programs over the year. One's going the opposite, one's going north, one's going south.
Jill, any final thoughts on this game?
You're talking about Miami's schedule. It doesn't get any easier for the last game of the season. I played this week.
Oh yeah, so, it gets probably harder than it has been.
Miami had a rough schedule. It was bad.
And to be totally honest on that, every kind of plays the same schedule. Like, yeah, you play 7 games. There's only 10 teams, so like you're not like everybody's getting an easy schedule. But when you stack them like that and talk to each other, it starts. I think you start getting discouraged, and so I didn't mean to rip their drill. Everybody kind of plays the same schedule.
Yeah. I don't have anything.
So, all right. Well, that brings us to the next game of the week, which was probably the game of the week in my mind. App State versus UConn. These two teams were tied number 2 in the league. They were tied atop of the East Division. The winner was going to be guaranteed, I believe, a shot. Yes, the winner would have been in the division title game. And going back to the last game, Coastal Carolina needed App State to lose this game for purposes of staying in the playoffs. Well, they didn't get that. App State came out, do what App State does, got the win, low scoring game, held the ball, held UConn in check the entire game, punched their ticket into the division title game. Jill, we'll go to you first, and we'll get Mason Stodds as the coach.
Yeah, it was the type of thing of, how would UConn bounce back after losing to UCO? And all the things happened with UConn after the UCO loss. Zach left, new Montana coach. Everything just kind of went against UConn leading up to App State. And then, facing App State's defense, whenever you have to run your offense by yourself in Pard's situation, very tough. So it was kind of a disadvantage for Pards and UConn going into that game. And I think it really showed. App State played their game exceptionally well. Limited possessions. UConn was not able to move the ball really at all. And, App State was able to score a couple times, and that was the difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, so this game was a game coming. I think me and Pars talked about it. I may have mentioned it last week. So we're going to find out, App State's strength is their defense. UConn's strength is their offense. And these two are going to butt heads and see what happens. Now, UCO kind of, what's the word I'm thinking? Exposed UConn's offense maybe the week before. So maybe some kinks in the armor. App State really exposed those kinks. Shut them down basically the entire game. I think it was 13-7 was the final. I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
App State did what App State does. Their defense is probably the best in the league this year. Holding teams, I believe, 8 points a game. So you can correct me on that if you know the difference. The actual 7.8. 7.8 is the total right now. Points allowed per game. 7.8. So just under 8 per game. So it's barely allowing a touchdown a game. Super impressive, and they did it again this game. So Mason, obviously App State coach, what were your thoughts as this game went along, and how are you feeling after the win?
We're very proud of our team, our players. Every game we take seriously as possible as we can, and this one was the one to get us into the playoffs, clinch that spot, and also get us a conference/divisional championship chance and appearance. We game planned all week for that. Monarch, the defensive coordinator at App State, and also Nicotine, the offensive coordinator at App State, really sat down together. We all sat down together and went over our goals of what we needed to do to win the game. And I think we did pretty exceptional of what we needed to do, and we got the win. So UConn's no slouch. So anytime you can beat a team like UConn, it's definitely a good feeling in the locker room. But now we're looking forward to week 7 and so forth.
So going into week 7, I mean, do you think you're kind of facing a trap game here, since the game doesn't matter for anything as far as polls or division standings? I mean, you're locked in. You're locked in the playoffs. You're locked in the style game. Are you worried about a trap game at all? Is coaches not being focused, or players not getting where they need to be?
No, the attitude and the that's what I'm looking for. The attitude and the mindset at App State right now is to take every week at a time. Every week we go in at 0-0. We don't, really care if we're undefeated. If we've got 4 or 5 losses, we felt the same way. Regardless, we treat every game like it's our last, and that's how we're gonna play week 7. We do have some snow in the forecast that week. I don't know if it's gonna be a blizzard or what, but I've heard the news forecast predicting some snow. So it'll be interesting to see how we both teams adapt to a snow environment.
It'll be interesting. And I think that if anything, that gives App State an advantage. App State, tough defense, tough run game, nose to the ground, grind it out type of game. And Coastal Carolina will steal the ball around, be a little more fancy, I guess you could say. It's not a great word to use, but more of a spread out offense, go fast, and Snow's going to slow you down. So I think that gives App State a pretty big advantage in that game, for that in that environment.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But like you were saying before, App State UConn, great game. It just we really established what we wanted to do from the get-go, and we grinded it out to the very end. So we really did really well in that aspect. So shout out to the coordinators at App State, Monarch and Nicotine. They did great. Appreciate them, and thank the world of them. So appreciate it. Yeah,
and then just kind of you mentioned Monarch and Nicotine. Great staff you have over there at App State, and we're all pretty impressed with them. And we talked about in Discord, Monarch's got to be one of the favorites for coordinator of the year. I think actually I'm talking to 2 coaches with favorites coordinator of the year, Wad and Monarch. I mean, it's going to be a toss-up who wants who. Everyone's got their own reason to vote who they want to vote for, but Monarch has been killing it all year. Super impressive. Has to be on the board for coordinator of the year for sure. Easily top 2, probably the favorite.
And we appreciate that.
So with that, let's go to the other coach in the on board today. We go to UCO versus Upper Iowa in a game that was ugly. This game got ugly, and it kind of stayed ugly, and then it got a little uglier. Not a whole lot to talk about. UCO gets to win 47-6. Again, let's go to Mason, get his thoughts on the game. We'll go to the head coach, Gerald, see what he thought.
So right off the bat, there's 2 ways to look at this. UCO did what they do. They score a lot of points. They get ahead and they suffocate you on the defense side of the ball. They keep you, in check. So UCO did what they did best, and that's score points. Fred Weasley's he's going to be the Heisman MVP, whatever we categorize this year. He's definitely a lock in my mind. And you look at the other side of the ball. I mean, you look at Upper Iowa coming into the game pretty hot. I mean, they beat Miami, Ohio 33-3. And, they were talking a little bit about the game coming into it, having a little bit of hype behind it. Just a really disappointing performance, in my opinion. And I heard they had some miscommunications earlier on in the game. So that's this and that, not having people ready, the whole 9 yards. But, UCO, if you're not on your game, they're going to take advantage of everything possible. But I was really, really disappointed that the game wasn't closer, because I really thought, Upper Iowa having that momentum building up, okay, maybe they got a shot against UCO, and UCO crushed it.
Yeah, they really did. And so I think what happened was, I remember right, and Excel's talking about right now. So it was just Zeke and Zell. Sneaker wasn't able to make it for most of the game. I think half. Verse wasn't there for over half the game. So Zeke's running the show. I think his first time probably running the show. It's probably some nerves there. And what a team to have your first test on, right? Let's play the best team in the league. See what happens. Not a great feeling for him. And it's one of those games where, like, Mason said, UCO got up. I think Upper Iowa started maybe panicking a little bit, passed the ball more than they like to, and when that happens, teams can just run away from you. So, a game that I think we all thought would be a little closer, hopefully closer, but UCO did they do. Gerald, what was your thoughts on the game as you almost broke the scoring record? It tied the point differential record, and for sure locked yourself into the division title game.
I'm gonna be pretty honest with you. I was told like 3 hours before the game that Ward wasn't gonna be there, so I was by myself. Nice. So I'm like, I'm gonna lose because last time I was by myself, almost lost, or I should have lost to Blake. You know that game I came back from 18, but I was nervous, and then I went up 14-0, and it kind of went from there. But yeah, it was nice locking myself in because if we would have lost that game, that was our final division game. It would have gotten very interesting had a couple teams won. Like if UCA would have won this week and Upper Iowa would have won this week, and there's a 3-way tie, and ties are never fun if you're not on the right side of them. So it was just nice locking yourself in. Now we have a non-divisional game before you play another one of those teams again, and Upper Iowa could be one of those teams. So yeah, we just this week gotta stick to our game plan. Can't take Miami for granted, even though they're struggling. You never know. We are the defending champs. Everyone wants the best shot, so I'm sure Miami will have something for us.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that actually that was a possibility. Yeah, I mean none of this happened, so it doesn't matter. If you had lost that game, you would have been at 2-1, 3-1. Upper Iowa would have been 2-1 playing NDSU, and UCA would have been 2-1. We could have had a 3-1 tiebreaker there, and I think you would have won. You would have won tiebreakers regardless.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, I think you were still. So. Yeah, you're still in regardless. So,
but it
could have been interesting still. But it didn't happen. Central Oklahoma was in. Central Arkansas, Upper Iowa, and Montana are now battling for second, which will be a lot of fun. But any last thoughts from you, Mason or Gerald, in this game?
Domination.
I wish I would have scored 50.
I was hoping for it. As the team that won the current record with points in the game, I want to see a 50 burger. I want somebody to score 50.
I'll put it this way: if Wada was there, we would have scored 50. I made some terrible decisions in the third quarter. I don't know what I was doing, so
I hear you.
I threw a pick at the 1 yard line, so we could have had another touchdown. But
that's going to move us to our fourth game of the week, which was actually a bigger game we all thought it was for a minute. Georgetown versus UCA in a non-division game. In a game nobody really thought about, I don't think. Ended up being pretty big. Georgetown gets to win 17-14. Let's go to Mason this time. Your thoughts on this game, and we'll work our way back to myself on the coach update.
Yeah, of course. This game, in my opinion, showed once again the experience and the defensive mindset that Georgetown has. They really, really did what they did best, and that was suffocate and make the other team make mistakes. UCA, in my opinion, had a really good chance of winning this game, late in the second, quarter. And you just saw mistake after mistake after mistake, unfortunately, by UCA. They threw a pick six, and the clock management was mistimed, and that's something you can't do against Georgetown. Georgetown's always exceptional when it comes to, those things. And if you, with Georgetown not really having anything to play for at that point, I know Trigger, you were talking about how you're just playing, have some fun, and UCA coming in needing it's a must-win game. It's really disappointing, in my opinion, to see UCA not come out with that win and make those mistakes this late in the year, because when you're making those mistakes this late in the year, we're almost at the playoffs. Those things got to cut down a little bit. So, really, really good performance for Georgetown. They pulled out the win, though. They hang in there. They hung in there. They got the win. And, towards the end, I know it got close to where it could probably have been overtime. But, again, clock management wasn't the best. And Georgetown, if you make mistakes like that, Georgetown's going to usually execute and capitalize off of them.
Gerald?
So yeah, it was, as Trigger alluded to, about like 10 minutes before the game started. Everyone discovered that Central Arkansas could lock themselves in with a win. So that kind of made it bigger for Bucky. He was by himself, to win the game. But as Mason said, just the mistakes by Bucky. He started out great, 7-0, had a chance to go at 14-0, just could not capitalize, and then started pressing a little too much. And you can't do that against Georgetown, especially trying to use the same plays over and over again. It's never good. I will have to say, Georgetown made a mistake late in that game. They tried to get a screen pass off, and it almost cost them. Gave Central Arkansas more time.
Yeah.
And they were like 20 yards away from winning the game. So I think Georgetown's never going to do that again. They're going to run the ball next time. And Georgetown still showed that their defense is capable of winning games if the offense just isn't there.
So on that screen pass, it was very calculated. We looked at it. When we got the ball, I told Orvis, I was like, run the ball. They're gonna blitz, run the ball. And somebody, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was either Core Vicey or Orvis. I was like, said something about blitzing. And I was like, they're gonna commit. We could catch them on a screen hard here and really just ice this game. And we did, because the dude was wide open. Like, it was house time. But that ball got popped up in the air, and I was like, "Oh my god, we just lost on a pick six by the screen." I clinched as hard as I ever had in my life. It was definitely calculated. We did think about running. It was my original idea, but screen got in my head from somebody, and I was like, "It should be an easy burn." But it about cost us. But we got the win. It was a good win. Yeah, we all week, same as Montana before. We're like, we're not super worried about this game. We're not gonna think about it. But then looking at it, we realize again, so just for viewers, so since Arkansas is at 2-4, they were at 2-3, 2-1 in the division. So tiebreakers in this league, and Joe, correct me wrong, is your first one is tiebreakers, it's head-to-head.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sorry, no, division record. I'm stupid.
You want me to, here's how it works. 2 teams tied, obviously, head-to-head.
Mm-hmm.
When you move to 3 teams, it's head-to-head between the 3 teams tied. So, if Central Arkansas had beaten, I don't know, Upper Iowa and Montana, they would get in ahead. Yeah. There would be no more tiebreaker. After that, it's overall record. Mm-hmm. And then it goes division point differential.
Okay. So, with that being said, going into the game, Central Arkansas was 2-3, 2-1 in division. This was a non-division game. Upper Iowa was 3-3 record, 1-2 in division. Montana's was 1-4 before the game. 0-5 before this week, and 0-2 in division. So Central Arkansas, if they'd won, had gone to 3-3 total. Montana could not have tied them overall record, and then Upper Iowa couldn't have beat them in division. So if they won, they'd be locked in. They weren't going to pull it out. It was a big game, and honestly, for the first round, this one was for Coach Jett. We wanted to win this game, Coach Jett. Give him a chance. I think what's happening in Montana is absolutely absurd. We're on board with it. We don't like it. So that one's for Coach Jett, and we'll explain that in just a minute. But yeah, big win for us. We're excited. We get UConn next week. UConn's been looking for a couple weeks now. Looking to lock our place against App State in the division title game would be huge for us. It was our expectations beginning of the season. It wasn't our goal. It was expected. We expected to be there. So we have a chance to meet those expectations tomorrow night, 8:30 on the RFL YouTube channel.
Yeah, to top that off right there, I just want everybody to know some pretty crazy news. If Georgetown beats UConn, that's a big if. Either team could definitely win that game. But you'll see 2 of the worst teams last year clinch a divisional title spot, which is amazing. I mean, that's
Correct.
what this league's all about. I mean,
Correct.
The transitional differences between the 2 teams from season 1 to season 2 to say that. And if Georgetown does it, that's a pretty big statement about what we have going on here. That's just pretty awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're both in it. Go ahead, Drew.
Both these teams should have beat the top 2 seeds last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
which is even better.
Yeah, so Mason, we were in it. We can't forget last year. Week 6 last year, FAU versus App State was a battle of 0-6 teams trying to get their first win, or 0-5 trying to get their first win. Both of us were the last 2 winless teams of the year. And then since those weeks, both teams have just caught fire.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And looking forward to this year. I mean, it's just been transitional difference between last year's. People using last year's stuff, comparing them. It's night and day. I think people have finally found their niches, their schemes, and we're a little bit more into the experience side of the league. And you can see that when you go against a less experienced team.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Any final words on Georgetown UCA?
Nope.
All right. That moves us to the last game of the week, which was Montana, North Dakota State, which again, for playoff purposes, was huge. So again, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, this was the elimination game.
Yes.
The winner stays alive for playoffs and divisional championship chance. The loser was out, and their season was done. Montana, Coach Jet, and all the controversy surrounding them this week, pull it out, get the win 17-14. Let's start with Gerald. What were your thoughts on this game as you watched it, and what are your overall thoughts?
I obviously called the game, and Monarch and I called it, and we made the prediction that this game would be both teams would play very conservative. They didn't want to make mistakes, and to be honest, they didn't. They both played kind of scared to start the game. They didn't want to do anything. Nothing big. They just kind of ran the ball a lot. And then you saw Jet later in the first half start really opening up. That's when Montana, got on the board and double dipped and was able to get a 2-score lead. And that was kind of the difference. North Dakota State, really both teams are not built to come back from behind from 2 scores. And I think once Jet got that 2-score lead, he felt pretty confident he could hang on to it. So it showed that, even though he's not, going to be there next season at Montana, he still has the ability to get Montana the win when they need it.
Absolutely. To double up on that, I mean, everything you said was absolutely true. I think this was just a battle of showing, Jet had something, not saying he didn't have something to prove before, but he really showed to the league that, hey, man, I'm still here. I may not be here next year, but the fact that I can, go out there and even make it work with, Kepler's a 3-star quarterback that's a sophomore. He made the executive decision as the interim head coach to bench the outspoken 5-star quarterback that's in the transfer portal. And I think he went back to Montana. I don't know. There's a lot of drama at Montana going on. And the fact that Jet was able to, weather the storm, go into a team, North Dakota State, that has a lot of talk about them. They have a lot of recruits that are coming there, and Montana was able to basically crash their party and stay alive. I mean, at that point, you were looking at the performance. I think Kepler was 15 of 18, 170 plus yards, something like that. I mean, that's a masterful game. Anytime you can do that, really, really shows on paper that Jet has a scheme that works. And who knows? They could definitely go to the playoffs this year with a few things going their way.
Yeah, so I mean, it was an awesome game to watch. Coach Jet immediately benched Batman MacArthur, and a move that I think was probably a little surprising. But and we think about it, probably not. He's been kind of a source of controversy. Coach Jet said, "I've had enough of your stuff. Get out of here. I've got a better quarterback behind you." And Kepler showed out. Straight up showed out and carried that team to a win, and a huge win. And put themselves in a situation now, they don't need anything to happen. If they win, they're in the playoffs. That's where they sit right now.
Wow.
Winning in.
Okay.
Winning in.
I didn't realize
That
Now-
Tuesday game is going to be it's going to be great.
We'll go over it. We'll go to the playoff scenarios, but they're winning in. They're flat out winning in
yeah.
as far as playoffs concerned. So huge win for them going forward.
Big.
The CBM bitching. I can't remember what the details of what was leaked, but CBM leaked a conversation. I think it was from the actual Montana chat, and he leaked it. And yeah, that's why he did not play.
Yeah,
So-
I know.
I got a great question, whenever we get the opportunity to see this, but I'm wondering, does Coach Jet, with the opportunity to go to the playoffs, knowing that Montana, staff does not want him anymore, does he even try this game? He's already proved himself. He's already proved himself that he can call a game and he can, get points on the board. Everybody knows Jet. Everybody knows he's well respected.
Well,
Does he give
Mason,
Montana the fan?
let's do this. We actually have Coach Jet on the line right now. Let's bring him on.
look at
And we can ask
Look
him
at that.
face to
Hold
face.
on 1 second. Is he here?
He's in broadcast. He's muted. Coach Jet. You're muted, my guy. How you doing today?
We're here.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. How's your night going?
Going good, going good. Thank you guys for having me.
So immediately, I don't know if you could hear, but Mason has a question for you right off the bat. Let's get this thing started. Let's get juicy.
All right. So, Coach Jet, how you doing today, sir?
Doing good, buddy. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I just have a really, really good question for you, and you can answer it if you want to, if you feel comfortable. If not, it is going to get a little juicy. So, just let you know. Does Coach Jet try and go get a win here for Montana, who has an opportunity to make the playoffs, or does he, let it loose and just not really care about it at this point? You make the playoffs for a team that doesn't want you, that has been outspoken that you're going to be let go. There's a little bit of pride and dignity there that you could do. You can end up with that, or how are you going to react to that? What's your response to that?
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to go to distance. I don't show up to lose. Whether I'm coaching for Pars, Trigger, anybody, whoever I'm coaching for, I'm going to win. The biggest thing is after the sour taste of the USM loss last year in the playoff, when Blake stepped away, the whole thing was I'm gonna go the distance, to finish this off what Blake and I started. Obviously, we all know the situation at Montana. The most recent news of me most likely not being there. I've heard through the grapevine of some talkings of maybe a reconstructed contract, but I don't know if that's going to be a possibility. I'm going to win. It is what it is. Winning, I'm in. More games for me to play, more stuff, and hey, wherever I end up doesn't mean my players can't come with me.
That's true. That's true. I mean, so when you brought it up, so let's say that I'll just say call it improbable happens. You run the table, you win it all, and they do offer you would you even want to come back to Montana? Do you have other places you want to go? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So to say my DM is like a hot Tinder girl right now. It is flooding with endless opportunities. I've had a lot of opportunities thrown at me, and I have told most that we'll make a decision once the season's over. I think I know the decision in my head, but it'll definitely be breaking once I decide. But yeah. It is what it is. I'm not here to lose. So, like I said, it's originally what Blake and I built. That is the main thing around it, regardless of who's coming in and who's coming out, this, that, and the other. Blake and I started this, and we had a chance to finish it last year and to be in a seat to go the distance again. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you got any question, Joe?
Speaking of DMs, before the game started on Thursday, you got a no phone call for the game. Can you comment on that right now?
Yeah. Again, same DM situation. I've had multiple opportunities, offers, etc. Some are, better than others. Some, are positions I've never been in before as well. So definitely going to see what's on the table. Like I said, I've had a couple. I kind of know which one I'm leaning towards. There is a front runner in all the offers I do have. And if Montana would like to offer me something, I'll listen as everybody comes in. But as we all know, it's not fun on game day to find out you're being fired through a recruit through a separate conversation of a team chat that I'm not a part of. So again, it is what it is. If we're gonna play games, have fun sitting on the bench. So that's how I see it. CBM, wants to play, and what better opportunity to do it in the playoffs? And you kind of just threw that into the garbage can.
All right, so let's get to the game. A lot of drama we all know about. Let's get to the game. So in North Dakota State, big win. What were your thoughts as the game progressed?
Yeah. So I'll just put this out there. I don't know if Montana is planning on bringing Ronnie back or not, but Ronnie is a hell of a defensive coordinator. He actually left in the third quarter at 3 minutes until the last drive. I pretty much ran what he likes to run. I tried to just do whatever I could. And you could feel like I think they went and they scored on that one drive while I was doing DC, and I was like, I'm in way over my head for this. But Ronnie is a fantastic defensive coordinator. And when we kind of talked, it was just him and I was like, dude, I'm gonna let this sucker rip this game. And we came out and we were throwing it a little bit different as to what Blake and I started. We were gonna try to be more of a run heavy team, and it obviously gets you so far, and you can run, and then you get into a 3rd and 12, and then you ask one of your quarterbacks to make a big time throw, and they don't make it. So there's no better way to get the quarterback hot than let him start ripping it. I told Ronnie, I was like, look, like if we throw a pick right off rip, I'd rather get it out of the way now. And then we went into half. We had, I think we were up 10-7 at that point with a chance to go up 2 scores, and that's when Ronnie's like, man, we should catch him off guard, and I threw the flea flicker, and it went to Eddie Murphy for big gain. So again, I kind of game planned as the past few weeks, and we kind of talked about this. I mean, I talked to Blake in the beginning of the season, then kind of we've had a lot of coaching changes, so it's kind of me and Ronnie, and kind of bouncing stuff off each other's head. But we've only lost every game except the game to UConn by 1 score. UCO stat padded a touchdown at the end, but we had them in check. I mean, so for people to say, we were an 0-5 team, you got to look at the score when you look at that 0-5 record, because field goal loss in first 2 weeks, touchdown loss. I mean, it really isn't. Yeah, they're losses on paper, but at the same time, when you have a quarterback who can't prove himself, and then you're going back and forth. I listen to Coach's Corner every week, and I totally agree with what you and Pars are talking about. You can't. It's not a dual system quarterback league. It's not. And Kepler made the start, and like I said, Kepler shines when the lights are bright. It'd be nice if he played that way throughout the regular season, but I guess he likes to play big time football when it's big time games only. So, and boy, do we have a big one this week.
Yeah. On top of that, I just got a quick question for you to kind of wrap it up a little bit. Going forward for the rest of the season, is he the guy to go to? Is he the starting quarterback going forward all the way through, or is there CBM going to get another shot?
I mean, 15 of 18 for 157 yards and a touchdown with a game winner kind of proves your starting position. So unless he decides to throw 4 picks in the beginning of the game, he'll be starting.
I agree. Nice.
So how you guys feeling going into this winner-in situation this week, Jet? We'll see here. The game is going to be on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central on the RFL YouTube channel. Montana versus UCA. Winner is in the playoffs for sure. How you feeling about that?
Good. I mean, Ronnie and I, kind of talked. We talked after the game or Friday night. We talked one night, and he's ready to go. I'm ready to go. We kind of know how we're going to come out. I watched the Georgetown UCA game, so I haven't really done a lot of pre-team scouting, which is kind of on me, but being able to watch their defense, being able to watch what you guys ran a little bit, I think if Ronnie can keep their quarterback in check and let me do my thing on offense, and Ronnie's also great, as well as when we talk in the booth, as much as he's a DC and I'm an OC, I always tell him, like, let me know what you think, what you see as a defensive coordinator. And he actually in our game against NDSU, we were going to run a fullback run for 2 yards for a touchdown. He's like, you should go to a quick pass, and it ended up being a touchdown. So we bounce off each other's minds great. So we both know what's on the line. I'm not going full circle to Mason's question. I'm not going to throw a game, not necessarily, but not try, because those guys want to win too. So it's no point. I want to win, no matter what. At the end of the year, if it all goes the way we want it to, wherever I go, that ring will look nice on my finger. So that's how we see it. We do have something to lose, but UCA has something to lose as well. So it'll kind of see who gets the pressure to them the most. And like I said, we'll be ready to go. Definitely, if you want to see some good football, tune in.
All right, Mason. Really, anything else for Coach Jet?
I do not have anything else.
Nope, I think we're good. That's a winner go home this week, correct?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
I think
That's the best
UCA
kind
can
of football.
lose and be in still. UCA can lose, and we'll go over all that. But yeah, for Montana, it is winner go home. But Coach Jet, man, thanks for joining us. Awesome job, man. Looking forward to you competing next week. Hopefully moving on in the playoffs. And good luck the rest of the year, no matter what happens, and your future endeavors as far as finding a new coaching position whenever that point comes.
Yeah, you guys will be the first to know. So thanks for having me, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Have a
bud.
good night. Thank you.
See you guys.
That was Coach
What
Jet
a nice
Montana's. Oh, Jet's one of the best. Jet's one of the best best in the league. That's Coach Jet Montana, interim head coach. Joining us here, Coach of the Week, and a huge win against NDSU to get himself in a win-in position. So that being said, I need to figure out how to do this real quick. We want to look at let's do this, make it real easy on me. I want to look at the playoff scenarios for both sides and what's going on. Let's do a quick display capture. Question this before the stream, huh?
That's all right.
Shh.
That's all right.
Don't talk about
But
it.
Sugar, we got some breaking news coming out of the recruitment area.
I saw that.
Looks like is that your first recruit? Looks like Georgetown has a recruit with a linebacker, Nicholas Alexander.
Yes, Nicholas Alexander, a 3-star linebacker, signed for Georgetown tonight. We are excited. We're pumped. Our linebacker core is pretty strong. It's always better to make it stronger, though. Super excited about adding a linebacker.
Absolutely. That's pretty awesome. We got some great recruiting stuff we can go over later.
Heck
We've had a
yeah.
lot of recruiting news in the last the last week's been nuts. I've
Yes.
seen more recruitments this year than this last week with transfers, recruits, decommits, the whole 9 yards. It's
Yeah.
been a crazy recruiting week.
It's been a drama-filled week, but let's get into some more of the drama of the playoffs. I'll bring up the divisions here. If you want to look at them on your screens. Here's the division standings currently. So for the East Division, talk about this one first. App State is locked in the division title game. They're locked in the playoffs. Georgetown, UConn are both locked in the playoffs. Georgetown and UConn have a head-to-head this week. Face each other at 8:30 on Monday night. Our YouTube channel. Again, check it out, guys. It's going to be an awesome game. The winner will play App State division title game. So huge game there. Any thoughts on that scenario, guys?
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, super simple.
I mean, you win and you're playing next week. You lose and you're in the playoffs,
Yeah,
but you don't have a chance to get a first round bye.
correct.
Right.
And-
I think a first round bye in this league is
It's huge. It's huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just huge. And going to this game, man, Georgetown, UConn. I gotta ask you, Trigger. I mean, have you guys? How long have y'all been prepping for this? Because as far as I know, y'all really, really haven't taken the last two, non-conference games, as serious as you would this game. I mean, how much have y'all been prepping for this?
Let me see my camera. I've got sheets of paper here.
Good.
Scouting offense. I've got sheets. We've been prepping for a while. We're excited. This game's been our schedule for a while. We'll get more to that as we're at the game previews after this. So I'm gonna hold back a little bit on all my thoughts on that game. But yeah, no, it's a big game. We've been prepping for it. So that's the East Division. East Division, super easy. We all get it.
Yeah.
It's decided. Just figure out who's gonna play App State, and that's gonna be decided 8:30 Monday night. RFL YouTube channel. Be there or be rectangle. I don't think that's the saying. Triangle? It doesn't matter. West Division, on the other hand, square. That's correct. West Division, on the other hand, is a whole mess of chaos. The West has been in shambles since week 2, and it continues to be in shambles. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's just talk about it.
I
UCO,
will say,
go ahead.
Upper Iowa is very, very lucky that they don't have to worry about a point differential tiebreaker. Because last week's
Correct.
game murdered it.
Correct. They are absolutely
So-
correct. So UCO is in. No surprise, UCO flipped the division, 101 point differential, which means they beat each team by an average of 25 points per game in that division. No one's shocked. We all expected it. It is what it is. North Dakota State is eliminated. They have nothing to do with this week. That's not true. They can affect this week, but it doesn't affect their season's over. Okay. I think
Someone will root for them on Thursday.
somebody will root for them Thursday for sure. Wednesday.
Yes, it is
Again, I think expected. First year in the league, changing coaches at the season. Ender was there. Ender's not there anymore. Coach Kearns took over. And regardless, inexperience in this league, inexperience what's going on. Coach Kearns has some coach league experience, or coach mode experience, not coach league experience. It's totally different. So I think they improved with Coach Kearns, but I think we all expect North Dakota State to not be the team come out of this division. One of them, so nothing there. However, now it gets interesting. Currently, Central Arkansas is 2-4, 2-1 in division. Upper Iowa is 3-3 overall, 1-2 in the division. Montana is 1-5, 1-2 in the division.
Yep.
Let's just go team by team here. Central Arkansas, win, in division title game, in playoffs. No problems.
Yes.
Win,
Yes.
they get it all.
Yes.
Also, if they win, that clinches Upper Iowa's playoff spot as well.
Yes.
What? Did Montana beat Upper Iowa? No. Upper Iowa beat Montana.
No.
Okay, yeah. Central Arkansas wins. Upper Iowa's in. Central Arkansas's in. Central Arkansas's in the division title game.
Yes.
Montana's out. If Montana beats Central Arkansas, that would put both Central Arkansas and Montana at 2-5 in overall, 2-2 in division. And then Montana has the head-to-head against UCA. So that would mean Montana is in the playoffs regardless. They beat one of those teams.
Yes.
But then it comes down to Upper Iowa playing NDSU.
Mm-hmm.
If Upper Iowa beats NDSU, Montana is in the playoffs. Upper Iowa is in the playoffs and in the division title game. And Central Arkansas is out. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
So scenarios abound. And if Montana wins, if Montana beats Central Arkansas and Upper Iowa loses, Central Arkansas is Montana's in the
Montana would get in the
division title game.
Say that again. Repeat that.
Okay, so if Montana wins and
Yes.
Upper Iowa loses, Montana would play UCO next week.
In the division title game,
Yes.
Upper Iowa would be out and UCA would be in the
They would
playoffs.
get in. Yes.
Wow.
So
that's
in this-
amazing.
In this division, all three teams can be in the division title game. All three teams can make the playoffs. All three teams can be out of the playoffs. And there's nobody
That's
locked for
great.
anything. It can all
No.
anybody could be anywhere at the end of week 7. It is absurd. So it's a huge week for this division. We're about to go over the games. We'll go a little more of scenarios. But basically, for each team,
Just
each
win.
team, if you win, you're in. Any team
Yeah.
wins, they're in. It doesn't matter. Now, you may not get to work the division title game. If you win, you're in the playoffs.
Yes.
So that's the main thing for all three teams. So that's the situation. It's going to be a massive, massive week. It's going to be awesome. Big games. It's just going to be chaos and a lot of fun to watch. If you haven't watched the RFCL yet, guys, do it. It's awesome. It's fantastic. So let's get into the games then. The Monday game of the week is a game that I don't think is the game of the week. It's based on scenarios, but it is a big game regardless.
It's 3 versus 4. I mean,
It's the game of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think there's more. There's other games with more on the line. These games are playing for. I mean,
this game
top
is played
spot.
for something.
It just play for something. It means something, but I think other teams have more on the line. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
So Georgetown, UConn. We'll go to Mason first here. Thoughts on this game, and we'll come again wrap ourselves back to me and on my coach thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this game is going to boil down to who establishes their style of game from the very first snap. It's going to come down to who pushes harder and who's going to establish what they do best. So UConn likes to pass the ball a lot, and if they come out gunslinging and able to establish that from the get go and get ahead, it's going to be a little bit harder for Georgetown to come from behind. And if Georgetown does what they do best, which is establish the run, establish the great defensive mindset, control the ball, control the clock. We saw that UConn can sometimes struggle from playing from behind. So, but UConn definitely can come back from behind. We've seen it before many times, in the past where Pars is able to mix something up and get on there, but it's definitely not the position UConn's been in this season. So this season UConn's been playing ahead a lot. So I think honestly it's hard for me to say what's going to happen and who's going to win.
Well, no, you
I
got to
had
pick.
to-
This is coach's corner. I'm going to make you pick.
Yeah, I was getting to it. I'm just getting
Okay, my
to it.
bad.
I don't know the spread on it, but if I had to put a spread, I mean, I know UConn's 3 and Georgetown's 4, so you're probably going to have a minus 2.5, minus 3 to, I would say UConn probably is going to be the spread. I'm going to say Georgetown wins by a game-winning field goal. I think it's going to come down to the final wire, final minute, final drive. It's going to make some plays happen that are going to blow our minds. I think it's going to go pretty nuts. I think we're going to see some highlights through this game for the remaining of the season. I think this game's going to be nuts. So final score, if I had to pick one, I'm going to say 23-20 Georgetown is what I'm going to pick. So I think this game's going to be great. As well, UConn could very well win this game. If Georgetown does not establish what they do, I think UConn could very well easily win 27-17. So, it's a toss up, but I'm going to have to lean towards Georgetown.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Mason. But I think it's gonna be kind of like last week, where UConn's gonna struggle on offense, and Georgetown's just gonna do enough to get the win because John and Raider both have great defenses. I think with UConn not having an OC and all being on par, it's gonna hurt them again. And I don't see how they're going to be able to move the ball a lot against this Georgetown defense. So I'm going to go more low scoring. I'm going to say like 14-10 Georgetown will win, but I think it's going to be another struggle for UConn's offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're excited about this game. Obviously, as y'all have heard on my coach interviews pre-games, I have not paid attention to last two games. It's been a different vibe. It's gonna be a different vibe Monday night. We're gonna be locked in. This game has been circled on our calendar minimum since we lost to App State, but probably longer than that, just based on last year's result in this game. So we're excited. We're ready to go. But we can be all ready all we want. UConn's a good team, and they can still beat you even if you're ready. I think Pars will be fine on offense. I do trust John's defense to the end of the world. I never had any reason not to trust that defense, so I trust him 100%. We'll be ready. We're excited, and like I said, we didn't have a goal of the division title game start of the season. We had an expectation a division title game into the season, so we expect to win this game. We expect to be in the division title game. I'm not guarantee victory, but I fully expect to be where we expect to be. So should be a good game again. Huge game, guys. RFCL Monday night, 8:30 on the YouTube channel. Yes, Bucky, the John Grip defense. Doesn't sound as good as the other one, but it'd be fun, guys. It'd be a good game. So that's going to move us to the next game, which I think is the game of the week as far as everything. Montana versus UCA. Again, to reiterate this, winner is in the playoffs. If UCA wins, they're in the division title game and the playoffs, and Montana's out. If UCA wins, UIU is in the playoffs, guaranteed. So huge game here. Both teams. We just talked to Coach Jet. They're excited about it. They're ready to go. Bucky's in chat. Bucky's ready to go. He's excited. He hopefully has a staff this week. Should be a really close, tight game. Joe, what do you think?
Oh, man. I think it's going to be like that Montana and DSU game, at least
Agreed.
for the first half, where both teams are like, playing a little scared. Don't want to make a mistake that'll cost you in the long run. I think Bucky will learn from his, coach management situations from last week that really cost him against Georgetown. They called a timeouts early in the second half that they probably needed late in the game. And I think Bucky will learn from that. He did it on a game where it really didn't hurt them a lot. They could have clutched the playoffs, but at the end of the day, nothing's hurt. They still have a chance. I think UCA will get it done. I think Bucky has found something since the loss to UCO. After that, all their games have been really competitive. They were in with App State. They beat Upper Iowa. I think UCA will get it done. I think they'll be playing UCO in the division title next week.
Mason?
Yeah. So this one can really boil down to what quarterback's going to play the best in this game, in my opinion. You could say that for really any game, but this game more so. These teams like to throw it. Central Arkansas likes to do a lot of run action earlier on, and same thing with Montana. It's going to come down to, is Parker Howell the better sophomore quarterback than Kepler, who's also the sophomore quarterback? In the end, I do think UCA pulls it out. I think it's going to be one of those 20-17 games, kind of like back to what Caleb said, earlier on. It's going to come down to clock management more than anything for the rest of these games coming up. And if UCA, does the same thing they did last week, where earlier in the game, end of the first half, 40 seconds left. They throw the ball 3 times, don't get one completion. I think they completed it twice and then called a timeout and gave the ball back to Georgetown off a pick 6 or something like that. It was just bad clock management. I think Bucky learned from his mistakes there, and he's going to be a little bit more sharp going into it. I think Kepler does not have the same game that we saw last week. I think Kepler's going to make a few mistakes. So I'll pick UCA 2017.
I'm going to go against you guys. I think Montana pulls it out. I think Montana's a team of destiny right now. I think Montana is fired up and ready to go and prove a bunch of wrong. I don't think there's anything Jet would like more than to tell Coach Zach to shove it after I get to the division title game. I think Coach Jet's motivated, ready. I don't mean that's for bad. I'm not talking. I just think that's how Jet feels. He's ready to go. Yeah. Right? I think he wants to prove it. Hey, you messed up. You made a mistake. So I think they're ready. And I think I don't mean to Georgetown's horn, but I think Georgetown gave Montana a great way to beat UCA. Pressure Parker Howe. Parker Howe took a beating last week. 6 sacks and multiple hits. Just couldn't get anything going really. I think you can get to him. I think the offensive line is not doing great. I think you can get to him. I think that's the key for Grizz. Get pressure on Parker Howe. Don't let him get hot. Don't let him get going. Because we all have seen Parker struggles at times, but he can get going. And when he gets going, that UC offense becomes really good, really fast. So I think Ronnie will dial up some blitzes, dial up some pressure, really put Parker Howe on his back, get him pressured. I think they pulled out. I think the Grizz pulled out and get a win probably around 14-10, give or take. Would be my guess. Low scoring. I think Gerald. I think you're both right. Low scoring game. Nothing UCO. Nothing crazy. But about 14-10. I think that's my call here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any last thoughts on that game, guys?
I think it's going to be a great game on Tuesday.
It's going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah, I think it can go either way. I think either both all me and Caleb's point of view and then your point of view could very well happen regardless of what we say. I mean, both things could happen.
100%.
In a matter of seconds. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it should be great.
That will bring us to our next game. This is a Tuesday late game, 8:30 Central on the RFL YouTube channel, guys. Coastal Carolina versus Appalachian State. And a game that doesn't have any meaning as far as polls or playoff positioning, but a good game for App State to make sure they're still going, make sure all their gears are still working correctly, make sure they're still staying warm, staying hot, staying focused. And game for Coastal Carolina to say, hey, we've come on here the last couple of weeks of the season. We're gonna be heck to deal with next year. Joe, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, this could be this is what you call a trap game sometimes. Mm-hmm. Coastal is going to come out final game of the year. They don't have any more games for this. They're going to come out and try to show the recruits and stuff that they're ready for next year. They're building for next year, and they're going to try to make a statement. App State has got everything locked up, so maybe their players or whatever don't stay as focused as they might normally do during a big game week. Maybe they look ahead to the division championship game next week. I think App State will win. I think Coastal's had too many problems with inconsistency on offense to, make me think they can move the ball a lot against this App State defense. But I think App State might come back from behind to win this. I think Coastal might come out, make a statement early, and App State regroups and pulls out with the win.
So if that happens, I mean, if App State comes back from behind, I think that would show a lot about App State that they can do. I think some people wonder about that, and I think Mason agreed their offense is not really built for that. It's not really how they run their offense. So getting down two scores early would be something that would, I think, league-wise as a protection would be a problem for them. So they could do that. If they got down 10, 14 points and come back and win, I think that would be a huge statement for them going forward as far as playoffs are concerned. I think it'd show improve a lot more that they're better than people already think they already are. I've been on the App State bandwagon since preseason. So that would be huge. I think that'd be a huge statement for App State if that did happen. I do think App State wins it. I think it's a normal grinded out game though. If Coastal Carolina gets up, it'll be like 3 or 7. Won't be 2 possessions. It'd be early. App State probably tie it up early and kind of take over from there. I'm thinking probably 13-10, 13-7. App State wins, does what they do best. They grind it out. Great type football game. But maybe they come out like, hey, this game doesn't matter. Let's go air raid. Maybe start throwing the ball down the field, see what Sandy Bones can do. But here's the great thing. We can ask the coach. Coach Mason, how y'all feel going to Coastal Carolina, and what's your game plan?
So we feel pretty good going to the Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is very well respected. Last time we played Coastal Carolina was a missed field goal that should have advanced us in the playoffs. So there's now they got to come to App State. There's be a half foot of snow on the ground. I just looked at the radar. So we're really well prepared for it. We're excited for it. We respect Coastal Carolina. We respect Coach Gage. So this is a game where, I mentioned it before, where it's a 0-0 type game. It's what we don't really care what the record is on either team. We treat every game like it's our last. So we're going to go into this and treat it like a playoff game, just like we treat every other game. So that doesn't change, and our locker room doesn't change with our coaching staff. It's been well addressed. We did celebrate a little bit week 6, but now it's time. As soon as that happened, we got back to work. It's always time to go back to work. So we're excited. We can't wait for it. I believe this is the first snow game of the RFCL. So we should have a fun time. It should be very competitive. But we can't wait for it, and we're going to treat it like any other game. So we got mad respect for that staff over there. I'm going to believe in my boys to get the job done.
Yeah, I think the snow helps App State. Not that they need it, but I think it just gives them the advantage. Because Carolina's going to throw the ball around the field, and snow makes it harder to do. I think snow really benefits a tough, grind it out, run the ball type team. So all the indicators there really show App State probably winning that game in a normal fashion, which will bring us to Upper Iowa, North Dakota State in another. It's a big game. A lot on the line here. Upper Iowa winning in the playoffs. Period. Now they might get lucky. Maybe UCA beats Montana and they're in anyway. And this game means nothing. But regardless, if you win this game, you're in the playoffs. And then if Montana beats UCA, and then you beat North Dakota State, you're the 2 seed. Is that right? No.
They would need UCA to lose. So yeah, UCA needs to lose, and Upper Iowa obviously has to win to be the 2 seed.
That's right. So Montana wins. So let's talk about this for a minute. If you're Upper Iowa, who do you want to win that game? Would you rather be in the playoffs, not having to worry about this game, or do you want a shot at the division title game? But also, if you lose, you're out.
Personally, if it was me, I just want to be in the playoffs.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Division title is cool, but like, eh.
At the end of the day, that's what we play for. We play for the playoffs. So I'm right there with Caleb. Obviously you play to, whatever happens, it's out of their control. But I agree. I agree. I'd rather be in the playoffs rather than, just have an opportunity to play in the division championship. I think that's one of the things like, oh, that's cool. It's like when you get ice cream and you get, chocolate syrup on top of it. That's cool that it came with it, but, you weren't expecting it. So I think that's their mindset. Hello?
Is it me now?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I
was just saying. I
we all cut out.
I think my complaint. I do see Zell in the chat. Zell saying they want the 2 seed, which again I do understand. However, there's a risk in that. There's a risk going for that. So what do you think, Gerald? About the game in general.
Oh man, I think it's kind of similar to the App State Coastal game. Obviously, Upper Iowa may or may not have something on the line. They won't know until after Tuesday. Upper Iowa's offense is very hit or miss. Last week, obviously, was not there. Week before, it was. And having played this North Dakota State defense with its new coordinator, or with Guernsey, it's not an easy defense to move the ball against. So
yeah, they made y'all struggle for that game. I remember watching that game.
Yeah, it was bad.
Struggled.
It was Juan and I were very confused because we hadn't had one of those games in a long, long time where we couldn't do anything. I think Upper Iowa could be in trouble. I think he's very inconsistent. And Kernsey, like I said, is really good with really pass defense. That's what we struggled against when we played NDSU. I'm going to go that NDSU is going to end the season with a win, and Upper Iowa, depending on what happens in the UC and Montana game, could be eliminated from the playoffs.
Wow.
Now, again, so for that to happen, Montana has to beat UCA.
Yeah.
If Montana beats UCA, Upper Iowa loses, they're out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very possible.
What are your thoughts on the actual game, Mason?
It's going to come down to, in my opinion, if, like Caleb said from the very beginning, I mean, will we see Upper Iowa's offense climb back? We've seen their offense sometimes. I think they've scored 30 points a couple times, right? Am I wrong on that, or close to it? Let's see real quick. They scored 33 against Miami, Ohio. They scored 9 against Coastal Carolina. Then you got 10 against UCA, and then they have that 31. So they're one of the teams where, man, when it's cooking, baby, it's cooking.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's not, it's really, really ugly. So at least from North Dakota State, we've kind of seen some consistency of what they're trying to establish. What I get worried about is it's going to come down to close games, I'm sorry, I don't even pronounce that. It's going to come down to a close game, in my opinion. I think this is a 2017 game again, maybe 17-14. And I think Upper Iowa has the experience that may outweigh North Dakota State in those situations of close games. If they know how to win it close. I'm going to pick Upper Iowa to win this one. North Dakota State could very well win this one as well. But I think the experience of Upper Iowa being in this league, and honestly, I just think Barry McCockiner can really, really make a statement heading to the playoffs if they do win this. That if we're hitting on all cylinders, we're going to be hard to stop. I think that having Sneak there and Versa there at the beginning of the game is going to hopefully they're all there. I mean, if they're all there, I think they got a really good shot to beat North Dakota State. So I'll go 17-14 Upper Iowa.
I agree with Mason on this one. I think Upper Iowa's offense is hit and miss. I think they get enough offense, and I think Kearns and company have not quite figured out their quarterback situation as far as what they want to do and a scheme that fits him more than anything else. I think Vincent III can be really good. I think they'll make him good next year. I don't think they've figured out that sweet spot yet for their offense to do enough to beat Upper Iowa. I think Zeke's defense will be fine against North Dakota State's offense, which has struggled. And then I think Upper Iowa's offense, even if they're not clicking all cylinders that night will be clicking enough to get enough points to beat North Dakota State. I'm going to go 24-10 here. I think they do get the offense going a little bit. And I think North Dakota State's I think they'll be fine in the long term. I think just right now they haven't figured it out yet. And they're going to need a few more games to figure it out, or at least an offseason to figure it out. So that's my prediction on Upper Iowa and North Dakota State.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's like Caleb was saying, it could very well. I mean, you could see North Dakota State come in this and play that great defense that they have. You got a lot of talent on that in the secondary of North Dakota State, so it's not going to be easy to throw against them. But I do think that Upper Iowa is going to have one of those games that it's finally they really haven't hit on all cylinders with the recent game they just played, and I think this is one of those games where Barry just makes it work and he gets some points on the board. So we'll see what happens. I mean, that's going to be a great game too. I mean, I don't think we have one bad game this entire week.
That brings us to our next game of Miami UCO is the last game. The disrespect coming out from Coach's Corner. We might see a 50 burger in this game. Miami's defense is in shambles. After last week, Coastal Carolina put 34 on them. UCO is rolling right now. But I always say it. I mean, I guess I'll say it and look ridiculous, but there's always that what if, I guess. I mean, it's possible. Mason, what are your thoughts on this game?
And, I'll get to the question I'm going to ask Caleb in just a minute, but I think it's going to come down to how serious does a UCO take this at this point? Do they want
True.
to take it the App State approach where it's, they treat every game like it's their last? Or do they want to rest Fred Weasley, who, UCO is heavily reliant on their quarterback? God forbid.
Injuries are a thing.
They are. They really are. And I'm not trying to throw the injury bug up.
Jarrell just realized that. He's like, wait a minute, that's true. It takes one sack and he's gone.
It does. I mean, it happens. I mean, we saw that a running back, out of all the runs he ran, it was like his second run, and he was hurt for the year for Upper Iowa. Out. And I don't know how many weeks we're doing. I think we just do week by week, but say he just gets a sprained ankle, he could miss the divisional championship, which is huge.
Yep.
So I'm kind of interested to see how they play it, especially when they're that reliant. I'm going to be honest, if I was in UCO's position and I was heavily reliant on the quarterback, Sandy Bones at App State, me and Nicotine kind of talked about it. We're going to take the risk of having Sandy Bones play there just because we're not a heavy pass team.
Yeah.
That's not our style. But UCO, they sling the rock. If I'm in a UCO spot, I'm probably benching Fred Weasley, letting them sit. I mean, he's got the Heisman locked up. I don't know about everybody else, but I think he's got the Heisman locked up. What does he got to play this game for? What does it mean? You know what I mean? At that point. So that's just my opinion on it. I think UCO is going to dominate either way. I think they'll win probably like 30 to 10. It'll be like that. You'll see UCO dominate, do what they do best, get ahead early, get up 14-3, probably at half, and then finish it out. At a big lead. So, I mean, going to Coach Caleb, I just want to ask you a quick question. What's your mindset going into this? Are you resting players? Are you resting starters? Are you worried about this being a trap game? What's your thoughts on this?
I was on here 3 weeks ago whenever we played North Dakota State. It was kind of the same thing. North Dakota State had, 2 bad weeks before us. And I told Sugar and Pars that didn't really matter who we played. We were going to take every opponent, same serious level as if we played UConn, we're going to take the same way as never playing Miami. That being said, we do realize that this game, when it's all said and done, has absolutely nothing to do with our season. So I was saying, I'm going to talk to Wad, but if we get to a point where we have a comfortable margin, I think we do have a conversation of, do we take some key people out and make sure that they are not injured for the playoffs and division championship game? Because that's the last thing we need. We're in a great position to defend our title. We have, in the history of the RCL, we've scored less than 20 points only twice.
Wow.
I feel confident. I'm not, just can go in there and think that we're going to run up the score or anything, or, light the scoreboard up. Last time I did that, we almost lost. So I'm not doing that again. I am feeling confident, but yeah, I think we might get to a point where we have to talk about potentially taking Fred and some key starters out if we get a big enough lead.
So is that he's going to start the game starting out?
Oh yeah, he's starting. He's 100% starting.
I got you. I'm being honest, not trying to compare our game to your game. That's kind of where we're at in this position. If we get up with a sizable lead, to where we feel comfortable, and we got enough established, enough momentum going in, that's kind of where we're at too. So I like the approach that you have. We're kind of the same boat here. Both games are against opponents. It has no meaning. We're just looking forward to the next week. So congratulations on clinching to your championship game of the division. And, I think it's going to be still a fun watch. I think we got a lot to look forward to of the great 5'4" recruit out of Miami, Ohio. Hopefully he plays. If he doesn't, he may be getting some people fired.
They need to hand the rock off. Hand the ball to LT. What are we doing?
Hey, I tell you what, Trigger. We're about to turn to a Miami, Ohio hate speech here, but I'm just saying, man, I don't know what the identity's changed. We're running spread option at an I formation. I'm just like, let's just spread it out, baby, and let's hand the ball off and let me run it a little bit. You can't even see me when I hand it off. If I hand it off, you can't even,
All I'm gonna say is UCO offered one of you. You could have been in the highest scoring offense in the league. You chose to go to Miami. That's all I'm gonna say.
LT's hurt. I forgot about that.
Oh wow. Okay, that changes things a lot. Then. Still, well,
Don't hand him the ball then.
Let's ride the MP3 chain while we have it. Let's do it. Let's get it going.
Didn't they bench him? I thought he's done.
They did bench me.
Okay, then he's done. He's not playing again.
I don't know. I mean, he may play again. It looked like they did bench him. They played both. They did the 2 TV system.
Is MT3 thinking about hitting the portal, Mason?
No, not at this time. I am fully committed to Miami, Ohio. But if I get disrespected again, maybe that's something we need to look at because the quarterback they put in is absolutely terrible. He couldn't hit. He couldn't hit anything. He looked like Nick Young on that 3 for the Lakers. I mean, it was bad. I think it was 2 of 9 with 2 interceptions. So the fact that I was, replaced with him, I was just like, kind of pushed it to the side, and I went above, the head coach's position, went to the athletic director, and I said, we need to make things change, and if we don't make things change, we're going to see some things happen. So hopefully, I'm out there.
Zoe put it in the chat. Miami's fired. Mario effective at the end of the season. And he's saying that he's really the only one that got the offense going. I guess it's time for me to announce that as soon as he fulfills his duties in Miami, I'm hiring him as an assistant.
Congratulations.
He will be joining UCO.
Nice.
Division championship. And going forward, what he's going to do, probably nothing. He'll just be on staff because I don't have any assistant.
Just there to get a ring.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I think I've had 3 different defense coordinators this season because each of them have apparently something going on. So it's just basically been one night like it was in season 2, but it's okay. Or season 1, I guess.
So big news there. Go ahead, Mason.
It's hard to do. I said that's hard to do. By the way, having coaching instability and being undefeated. Y'all have lost 1 game in 2 years, correct?
No, we've lost 2. We lost to Marshall, 2nd game of the season last year. Then lost to Coastal, I think, 2nd to last game of the season.
Yeah.
Or no.
So your all-time record is what?
We have not lost since last game of this regular season last year.
Gotcha. So what's your guys' all-time record?
It's got to be like
14-2.
14-2.
That's tough to do, man, especially when you don't have any defensive coordinator position. So, when you have the best quarterback in the league.
We've got Coach Hunter. He was there for the first couple of games.
Okay.
He'll be back in this winter, spring. He just, got some stuff going on right now at IRL. So,
yeah, coaching real football with Kansas State. That's kind of important,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that kind of brings this point of the show. Mason, if you want to go over some recruiting news real quick, I'm going to open the chat. Any questions from chat? We're getting close to the end here, guys. But let's Mason go to recruiting news. We can talk about that a little bit. And any questions from chat, get them in there, and we will answer your questions.
Awesome. Let me see real quick. Looks like we have we're going to start from the beginning of the week. It looks like we had very quickly a decommit from, what was it here? Sorry, let me look here. So it looks like last Sunday we had a North Dakota State 5-star commit, Woman, the defensive end, commit, and he is fully committed as far as I know.
Nice.
He's posted a couple times in the recruiting news. So that's a big get for Coach Kernsey because I don't know if the rest of the league's aware of this, but he is very in depth of looking, how well is each position at.
Yes.
And you can look at Coach Kernsey and their North Dakota State line. It's not very well right now. Their D line's pretty weak. Their secondary is amazing, but your secondary can only do so much if you don't get pressure. So adding Woman, we've seen 5-star DNs make impacts. Last game we saw good old Mike Tyson for App State make a huge impact on the field on the 4th down that resulted in a turnover and downs, and he got a sack. So, adding a 5-star like that is huge. So I'm real excited to see what he does there. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Big get. North Dakota State continues to recruiting after last season and this season. So at some point that roster is going to turn around a little bit and Currency can get it going. This should be a pretty solid team to deal with.
I memean, yeah. My opinion is just kind of like them coming in this season. You've got the roster, but now prove you can use the roster correctly. I mean, they probably have one of the more talented rosters. I mean, they got 5 stars in the previous recruiting class. So they probably have a decent, obviously they don't have progressions, so they missed a year of that. But they're up there talent-wise. I think with how good the roster is, they just have not been able to use the roster correctly, and I think that comes over time. Like App State, they really found their identity this year compared to last season. So I think once they get a year under their belts, next year could be a big year for NDSU.
Awesome. Anybody have any last final thoughts before I move on to the next one?
No, go ahead, man.
Looks like coming out of UCA, got a 3-star wide receiver that committed. Looks like last Sunday, Nick Willoughby. So sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but coming out of Chicago, Illinois, looks like they got a 3-star wide receiver to help out Parker Howell and company. So that's a big get in my mind for them. They need to improve that wide receiver room. I think UCA needs the most recruiting help in the league, in my opinion.
Probably.
Their roster on defense, I'm really surprised that they haven't had enough defensive help, either from the portal, not looking for defensive portal people, and also at the same time, you look at their linebacker core and their D line, it's probably the worst in the league. So, not to take away anything about getting a wide receiver, but even then, their wide receiver core is not very good. So, this is a huge get. They need to get this guy. At least they got one on the board, so hopefully they can get more. What are your thoughts, Trigger?
I agree. UCA probably needs the most help. Parker Howell's a good quarterback. You wonder if he'll be there next season. He was going to transfer for the first season, but it kind of washed away. You wonder if he'll look at the transfer again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. UCA definitely needs the most help. And receivers are always good to have in this league. The more depth you have at receiver, the better chance you really have it exposing some defenses.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a 3-star John Jones at UConn make a huge impact. So,
yeah,
the stars in the wide receiver department. I mean, a 5-star wide receiver is huge. Getting a 3-star is even huge too. So,
yeah, no,
yeah.
A 3-star receiver. A 3-star. Our first year, Luke Rogers was our best receiver. He struggled this year, nine drops, but he was good the first year.
Right. Yeah.
Trigger, I'm the same with you. I have not gotten a 5-star recruit receiver wise, and my 2 recruits that I've gotten are, I think, leading my team in receptions and stuff like that. So it really pays off getting them. Anyway, to UCA, it's a valid question by Trigger. Will Parker Howell be on the roster in season 3? There was rumors last offseason that he was going to leave, decided to stay. Really and truly, another disappointing year. And the team that, he was linked to really struggled on offense this year with their new quarterback. So,
but they signed a 5-star, correct?
That's true. They do have a commit right now of a 5-star. So maybe not. Maybe Parker Howell missed his window.
Maybe.
And we'll have to stay with UCA. Recruiting-wise, yeah, UCA needs some help.
Who's got the 5-star?
Did they not sign a 5-star trigger? I can't remember.
I thought they did.
Coastal?
Yeah, Coastal signed a 5-star.
Nope.
I think it was the.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. He's no longer on Coastal for 5-star.
That says more suspicions to Parker there.
Recruiting wise, UCA's, even if they don't have a nice recruiting class, Gage and I have already been working on rosters for the next season 3, so we kind of see who all is losing what. UCA's only losing 6 people, so they're fairly young. Their players are going to be there. They're going to be able to progress all of them. Obviously, they need some help. They want some help, but at the end of the day, once we have the end of the year coach recruit thing, however that's going to work, I think UCA will be okay.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to the next thing, some big news out of North Dakota State University. It looks like Jesse JK11 decommitted from North Dakota State and said he needed to take some time. And obviously didn't take much time to think about it because a few days longer, UCO got their first recruit of the year, I believe, a 4-star center, 6'6", 325 pounds. And we have the coach here. So, Coach Caleb, how does that sound?
Listen, I complained earlier in the year that our offensive line really was not doing a good job, and I feel like we have a great rated line. I think they're all pretty highly up there. They're just not playing at the level that we need them to. So bringing them competition, maybe push them a little bit, I think is a great thing. It's our second commit that we have. We also got a running back commit because our running back room is up there on class wise. They're all juniors. All three of them are juniors. So yeah, I think we redshirted one. So we're gonna have at least one for a couple more years, and then we're gonna bring in the recruit we have. Maybe talk about redshirting him so we can really have him for 4 years and he can lead our running back room. But yeah, I like the two commits we got. We didn't have, even winning the national championship last year, we only got 4 recruits. So for those that say winning championships brings recruit, that's not true at all. They didn't see any payoff to that. We still aren't, but it's okay. As long as we have Wad, I feel like our offense, no matter who's running it, will be okay.
Awesome. And go back to your point, Coach Trigger, about Coastal Carolina, the Parker Howell situation that could be happening. Parker Howell is going to be eligible to be transferred. Transfer ready, correct? Doesn't lose any.
Yes.
Yeah,
that is correct.
That's huge. And looks like earlier in the week, Coastal Carolina pulled their offer from Gumpty. If I'm pronouncing that correctly. Correct? Gumpty.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
which to me sparks more rumors about Parker Howell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, why would you pull that offer unless you had a guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they definitely need one the way it stands. Because I don't think the current quarterback they have right now is the future of what they want to do. He could still sling it when he gets up there and getting warm and the offense starts flowing, but he's not the guy to take over a program, in my opinion. But Coach Gates said you aren't with us, or you're with. I'm sorry, he said you are with us, or you ain't. So looks like Coach Gage was not, waiting around for Gumpty to, make a decision on, possibly leaving the commit that he originally had. And then that sparks this news where it was down to State of Montana. And this is very, very well involved with, honestly, a lot going on with Coach Jet. You have a lot of Coach Jet going on with this, and you have, CBM going on with this, and you have Gumpty. So, there was a lot of drama going around with Gumpty.
Yes.
Short story of it all, looks like Gumpty was down to 2 schools, App State and the Montana Grizzlies. He ended up choosing App State, which is awesome. That's the school I coach at. We're the head coach. I'm the head coach. I butchered that. I'm the head coach, and I'm very proud of that commit. So is our entire staff. We worked really hard and stayed in contact with him. Kind of a dark horse that came out of nowhere. It was quickly developed, very, very well developed. We were kind of like keeping our eyes on it, and we really wanted him in the long run. We really think he's gonna, compete in the quarterback room next year with Sandy Bones. We don't know who's going to start at this moment, so it will be a interesting QB battle, and we'll see what happens. We're gonna have a lot of off-season stuff to try out, but Gumpty ended up committing to App State, which is an awesome thing we're appreciative to. And Montana gets their quarterback with CBM, but with CBM they lose their offensive coordinator. So it's just a lot of stuff to unpack there. But if you guys have any opinions or thoughts on that,
a lot of drama. Montana's drama filled. It's like a soap opera.
Yeah, and I think that's why Gumpty left. He not left. I'm sorry. I think that's why Gumpty chose App State over Montana. He just feels that, honestly, looks like App State's the more stable environment. So it'll be interesting to see what Coach Zach does with CBM next year as the head coach, and kind of see how much CBM grows. So, any thoughts on that, Caleb?
I think it'll be interesting where he ultimately lands. I think the bridge is burned to Montana. I think there's no point of return there. I'm thinking of the current staff. I think he is staying. Correct me if I'm wrong. With the new staff at Montana.
Who's saying?
CBM.
Yeah,
CBM?
CBM is saying yes.
Yeah.
He's said. That's why.
Okay.
That was the whole reason why Jet ended up benching him because
all the Montana thing is.
who knows? He knows
at this point. Anyway, I think it'd be interesting how he develops in the offseason. He struggled mightily to begin the season. Really hasn't improved. Kepler came in his first start in weeks and won a must-win game. He proved that he still has it. And it'll be interesting to see where Kepler goes. Does he follow Jet? I'm sure you guys talked about this. Does he stay to try to beat CBM? Kepler led Montana to the semis and, was 6 minutes away from going to the national championship last year. But, I don't know. There's a lot that's going on with Montana, and it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have any thoughts about a 5-star quarterback again for the consecutive year committing to App State?
Do I have thoughts? I wish I had 5 stars. And I think it just shows the staff that Montana's got.
App State.
Or App State, excuse me. We've said a lot of teams. It's just, a lot of teams are doing more with less. App State's got a lot of big pieces in the offseason and, improved. It's just, they're getting more. Will the chemistry mesh? And how does it perform on the field? I think they'll be fine. I think, all the people they're getting is great. Only problem is they're getting receivers, and right now their quarterback can't make a throw. So, that's going to have to be fixed. I think that's what App State's going to address in the offseason. But yeah, I think App State's going to be okay with the people they're getting. And, if they don't win it this year, I think they're going to probably be the favorites next year.
Yeah, that's fair, and I appreciate that. But going into that recruiting process for that 5-star pocket passer, Dumpty, we're not there to make Sandy Bones feel like a threat. We're going to have our line open to anybody that wants to come to App State. That's the way we view it. As much talent as we can get on the team, and we can boil it down and address it in the end is how we'll go about it. So every spot's open every week to battle with. So it's very nice to have the opportunity to get these 5 stars coming in. Trick, do you have any thoughts about the 5-star quarterback committee?
In terms of UCO, I thought about offering him, but it's just I don't think it's the right year for UCO to go after him. We still got Fred. Definitely think Juan and I are going to look about getting one next recruiting class. Have him red shirts, and then have 4 more years of whoever we get. In terms of where he's going, I think I'm not sure where he's going to end up. Obviously, App State wants him. Obviously, Coastal wants him. I would give App State the lean just because they've shown more on-field results this year. And really and truly, the only thing that's held them back is the quarterback on offense. Their run game has been great. Defense has been great. It's just the quarterback cannot open up the pass game when they really need it. And I think Gunty can be that difference maker for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Very blessed to have his commit. Trigger, do you have any thoughts on that?
Big get for App State. Get the offense going. To complement that defense and make them again say a contender in the league for years to come.
Awesome. So boiling it down to it, App State also got a kicker, 3-star, Misty Ice. They also got a commit today with it being Carter James, linebacker. Kind of sum it up a little bit, going a little bit quicker. I know it's getting a little late. University of Connecticut looks like they got a linebacker. Yeah, so that would really boil it down. And the company made the assumption here of saying, you want the bull, you get the horns. Fuck Montana. So is that a rivalry that we'll see in the near future, boiling out of App State versus Montana? With their quarterback coming in saying that thing, and
Montana's got a rival in instability they need to figure out first before they get rivals of real teams. They need to get stable and not have a new coach every 4 weeks.
Absolutely. And on top of that, they lost their 5-star kicker as well, entered the portal. So, I mean, they got a lot of instability. It's interesting to see, how they react to it. It's been a train wreck since Blake left. I don't know what's going to happen going into the next year. I think that's the team with the biggest question mark. Anybody got any thoughts about the recruiting?
No, it's been an up and down week. It's been a fantastic week.
I definitely think recruiting. Obviously, I wish we had more recruits to do actual recruiting. I think it's what makes it unique. Obviously, we got the custom teams, right? That's one part of it, but actually recruiting people is another. I think the process is much better than last season. I think, and I don't know how you guys feel. Recruiting for 7 weeks
wasn't too much.
Was terrible.
Too much.
It was horrible. It was exhausting. So
shorten it to 3 weeks is great. I just wish we had the recruits we did last year in these 3 weeks. We had like 40 or something.
Half of them were DB.
Yeah.
As far as we know, half of them were probably DB still. So
I've seen all the I think he DM you about transferring the one that's on my team. Mason.
I don't know what he said, but he said that
he tried to go somewhere to get Dwayne Johnson to transfer from UCO. And he's like 5 touchdowns on the season. So I don't know why he would want to transfer, but it's whatever.
I don't know.
I think it's because Gage and I keep banning him, so it's just he doesn't want to be on our teams anymore. Whatever. I think we got a week to go, or maybe 2. I think it's a week.
I thought it was week 7. Was it week 7 it ends? September 1st?
Hold on, I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah, that's a week. Yeah,
it ends Thursday.
So signing day is
Friday. It's Friday. And signing day is I think it's September 6th, if I remember correctly.
Oh wow. Okay.
Let me find it. I wrote it down. I'm starting to make a rule doc, and I wrote it down somewhere. Signing day is September 6th. Recruiting ends August 30th at midnight. So it's
Wednesday.
It's cutting it close. Recruits have till September 3rd after that to pick a team and sign with them, and then it is September 6th for signing day. So there's your timeline for that. September 6th is is that the day in between the 2 divisionals?
I think so.
Or is that after a 1 game? Yeah, so it's the Wednesday. It's the Wednesday between the 2 divisional games. So next week we'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday RFCL streams. So
cool. That's awesome, man. And I have one last question before I hop out of here and let Trigger close it down. Is that a App State shirt in your closet?
What shirt?
I don't know. I see some black and gold in your closet there. I didn't know you were an App State fan, man.
This one? One that says UCO on it?
I don't know. It looks black and gold from my picture angle.
Talking about the Cheerios boxes in the corner over there?
No. They're in your closet.
You'll see it in a minute. I'm showing it in a minute.
I got you.
That's the UCO one that you're seeing.
Oh, okay. It looks black and gold. I did not see the blue. I was a little curious there of Coach Caleb's rooting for a team to win, because he played against a team in the national championship last year.
Leaking season 3 coaching moves.
Rutherford Lewis is going to be all over that.
Yeah.
So. All right, boys. I think it's about doing it for us. Y'all, anything else you want to do before we wrap this up?
No, I do
Nope.
not.
Awesome. Well, Gerald, Mason, thanks for joining me out, guys. It was awesome. Had a blast. Loved you guys' insight. Excited for next week. Everybody, it's a huge week next week. 3 giant games on the schedule. 3 teams can make the playoffs. 3 teams could not make the playoffs. 3 teams could be in the division title game, all in one division. We got a division title decider on Monday. CU plays App State. Huge week. All starts tomorrow, 8:30 Central on the RFL YouTube channel. Do not miss it. Huge games. Mason, Gerald, thanks again, guys. See you next time.
See you. Thank you.